Because of the global nature of the Second World War and the threat of communist influence, the world was suddenly a much bigger place. With a prominent role to play in the United Nations, the United States began to focus outward and to take its place among the family of nations. In the Carolinas, the outward look was eastward from the mountains and southward to the sea. In the early days, camp meeting was a moving evangelistic event. Wherever there was an area thought to be ripe for harvest, there would be a call for a camp meeting in that area. The area church members were expected to come and bring their friends or interests. These camp meetings could last from 1 to 3 weekends. Church members who could not come were expected to send food. Among other places, these camp meetings were held in Hickory, Statesville, Lenoir, and High Point. At every camp meeting, there would be a general call and a recruitment effort for colporteurs. People would be asked to give up their usual job to take up the door-to-door contacting that D.T. Sharman had found so effective in the early days. Many church members in the Carolinas had their first contacts with a message through the books and tracts of the colporteurs. Spreading the gospel had its difficulty in a state that grew tobacco as its chief cash crop. Elder Charles Bradford tells us what it was like trying to sell books door to door in Winston-Salem.
I began my pastoral ministry in the Southwestern Union, but I began my colporteur ministry, student literature ministry, in the Carolina Conference, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and that's where I sold books for one summer in the good old city owned by R.J. Reynolds. And even the Seventh-day Adventists had to tip their hat when they went by because many were employed. Well, that's the real church, the real life, the real world in R.J. Reynolds, the big company there. I enjoyed my summer there. That's where I got a chance to meet a lot of people that I've kept up with through the years. Yeah, there are other things I remember about Winston-Salem. I had my prospectus, and I went from door to door. And when I had a little farther distance to go, they had a bus company there, a little bus that came around in the neighborhood. I think they called it the Boston Bus Company. And I enjoyed riding on that bus. But there's one thing about it, in those parts of the country, as long as I was on that bus was fine, but when I got on the big city bus, I had to sit in the back. Well, I don't even remember that with disdain. It was fun. I had a buddy, and his 2 or 3 of my buddies had went into the student literature work, and they had a great big room, all these fellas sleeping on the floor, the beds and everywhere in that room. And in the middle of the night, one of my buddies shouted out loud, "Hey, fellas, I'm in the colporteur work," It was an adventure.